town did meet with that group that was discussed earlier. There's a tremendous problem in the police station. The police station has got to be rebuilt. They have absolutely no room in it. If you think there's crowding in the school buildings, there are other areas besides education where there's tremendous crowding, and one of them is the police station. It's been going on and on and on for a great number of years, and you're looking at another $3 to $4 million in expense in the school building area. So you have to take those things into consideration. I know a lot of people say, we don't care about anybody else. We want what we want, and that's all we're interested in. The fire station, if you heard, we spent another $500,000 repairing the floor. Hopefully that'll remain a fire station. There's some talk of the state by mandate that we're going to have to go to a dispatcher system where we're going to have a civilian dispatch, a group of people that are going to be coming on board. A lot of expense there. It'll be another union to negotiate with. If you look back over the years, when I was young, one person in a family could go out and work 40 hours a week and support the financial needs of the family. Now you've got two people working in each family to try and support the financial needs of the family. Some of those families, two people, or rather one person is working two jobs. I don't think that's right. I used to say it was great that I could go out and work, my wife could be home and raise my kids. And they were there, when she was there when they came home in the afternoon. You don't see that anymore. Everybody's in a daycare center. Everybody's running around, racing around, trying to make enough money to support their way of life. I disagree with it. I'm sorry, but I'll have something to say too. I mean, you people want, and all you care about is the schools. I care about the rest of the people in the community. Everybody else had a fair chance to speak up here without people hissing at them, and I would like that opportunity also.
Mr. Smith, under our bylaws, you have 5 minutes, and I think you're approaching the end of those 5 minutes.
Closing statement, if I may, Klaus. When we used to pay real estates in this town years back, we'd pay our real estate tax, and it would include your rubbish pickup, your real estate tax bill. It would include all your user fees. It would include a lot of other items like such things as your water bill. Now the water department is an enterprise fund. You pay that separate. Your rubbish pickup is a separate fund. You pay that separate. If you add all those expenses to your tax bill, you'll find out that your taxes are a lot more than you think. Those are really taxes in disguise. So don't think they're not. We are on a collision course with possibly receivership. It's got that bad. And if you don't think it has, ask the town accountant that I talked to just the other day, and I said, George, where are we heading with all this crazy spending? He said, I really don't know where we're going to end up, but it's a disaster right now. So I really think, ladies and gentlemen, you should think twice before you support this particular program. There probably realistically is a need, but if we don't have the finances to afford this project, then we shouldn't buy it. Thank you.
Mr. Pasquale. The chair sees a lot of people standing. We'll take Mr. Pasquale first, then Mr. Burton, then Mrs. Colella, and then Mr. Luongo.
I wanted to face the audience. Let me come right up front. I favor spending $225,000. My issue is in the whole design. So let me tell you a little story first. And I got 2 quick slides. Here from my archives is a picture of the bachelor school, and that's where everybody in this town right now is focused. Where Mr. Pasquale is focused, the big picture. Now the big picture is the information that didn't come out tonight, which I'm a strategic thinker. Never mind the planning. Somebody's got to be doing some thinking. What you didn't see on slides, let me first say something. Give this group here a standing ovation for what they were told to do, okay? They were told, I'll repeat, they were told to look at the elementary schools. What they weren't told, and they weren't commissioned to do it, is to say, is look at the entire system, because the entire system has big ramifications on what type of school you should put on Swan Pond. This is quickly, you know, somebody just has to, somebody throws data in front of you, you got to start to interpret what they're trying to tell us. What they're trying to tell me when I read it was the high school enrollments are going to go up And that number is 36%. So all you parents here that got all those young kids, you're going to get the elementary schools, you got to start thinking, where are you going to put the people in those students in the middle school and elementary? This auditorium is sitting here right now, 490. They took away 30 seats. Well, if you got 750 and you need a mass thing. I talked to Mrs. Matrano. You know she has to turn people away when they have things here. So there's a question in this auditorium. There's your class sizes. I'm not up here to say cut class sizes, but you got to start asking some questions. Do we have enough classrooms? With all this curricular change and things going on. There's only 3. I talked to the principal today. He says, I got three classrooms that he calls floats. I didn't go around counting. But those are questions we got to ask ourselves, because they may have to be incorporated someplace else. Go to the middle school. These children, all in the elementary, they're going to go someplace, and you're going to say, geez, what, you got a waiting list? Because some of you are going to do like I had to do. Send them down to Austin Prep or St. Thing, because you can't get in the North Reading school system. And that will happen, by the way. Now you go down and you say to yourself, the administration. I'm not trying to get them a building, but they say they need more space for administration. And the administration's in the middle school, so somebody ought to look at it. Maybe you can put that administration on this new school to take care of a problem. Listen, to me, space is space. And when you got something over in Chestnut Street, you can't do anything with it. And I'm not being facetious. Go put Quonset huts over there, because that's about the only thing. There's no justification, as far as I'm concerned, that this school committee hasn't voted to sell that land so we can get some revenue. Scenarios. This is what you do in strategic planning. Geez, everybody said, what'd you do with Polaroid when they were in the room? I said, they shut me in the room and said, think. I deliberately left out an expansion on the hood school. So some of you parents that are in the hood school saying, hey, we haven't got that yet, or you haven't got it. I mean, what he's saying. But so if you go down the column here, it says this is existing. Okay? Now you come down, it says proposed. This was this Article 13 is. And I'm saying, as you go down the list, if you can read it, I don't know, round the number off. We're talking about between the Ethel School addition and Swan Pond, maybe $12.5 million bucks. I'm going to keep hopping on Chestnut Street. I hope you're hearing me. You got to sell it. The people started playing around. You hear different things. Hey, maybe we got to add an addition on the high school. Maybe we got to add an addition on the middle school. So play those scenarios in your head. You say, hey, we're talking some more money. The selectmen don't know about it. The finance people don't know about it. What's it going to cost? One could say, hey, maybe we make this new school the high school. If you're really thinking, I'm not saying you ought to do that, but you say, hey, you take all these needs in right now and you start to think about it in your design. Because 2 to 3 years from now, seriously, I have to stand up here and hear, hey, we need $4 or $5 million to put all this different stuff that I'm telling you right now, it's going to go down in flames.
Mr. Pasquale, you have 1 minute.
All I need is a half. There is no plan. Don't let anybody tell you there's a plan for what we're going to do with the middle and high school. But they ought to commission somebody to look at it. And believe me, these people don't want to do it over here. Let me tell you, they're not going to volunteer. So there's got to be another group looking at that. And it's got to start right now, folks. I asked the question when I'm sitting there, are we designing the right school? 28 rooms. Maybe we got to put an auditorium over there. Maybe you got to provide more space. And lastly, there's only 132 people in the audience. I keep track who leaves, who comes. But let me tell you, if you go for the override, put zeros after some of the numbers, because they're going to come out of the woodwork. This is just the first step. Mrs. Dolan, you can tell them they come out of the woodwork on overrides, because she and I, we've dealt in this in the past. The numbers are like 1,941 versus 1,100, and there's more people. So listen to Mr. Smith. The override's a key thing. I'm suggesting we vote, give them the 225, but please, somebody sit back. They can't do it now. You got to factor this thing into that school over there. Don't build the wrong school in Swan Pond. That's my message. Thanks for listening.
Mr. Burton.
In order to help simplify things as the attendees tonight go through this process, here's a slide that shows the debt service that's involved in this process, and least we forget the debt service and the impact it has. You'll notice that on the bottom, if you go down the net debt service, you'll see that right here, you'll see that indeed the town will, over a period of about almost 25 years, we will spend $6 million as opposed to $3 million. So if you have any questions relative to that, remember the committees are aware of the debt service, and that if this slide helps enlighten you, then we're ahead of the game. Thank you.
Mrs. Colella.
I'm not even going to attempt to answer everything that Mr. Smith brought up. There is one thing that he said that we didn't tell you, and that was a tower, a water tower at Swan Pond, and Mr. Smith is wrong. We have, as I said, had several meetings with Mr. Hanlon, have discussed this in detail. We have looked at what that site is going to require. That school alone, we already know, would require either a storage tank and pumps or a small mini tower, not a full tower that you see on Tower Hill or on Moose Hill. Mr. Hanlon is also prepared to address that issue. We have looked at it with them. We have asked the state if they would allow us to work with the Department of Public Works and offer what reimbursement we could to the town on a full tower. The SBAB, the School Building Assistance Bureau, has told us that we cannot do that unless it is on the school site and is for the use of the school, it cannot be reimbursed. But we haven't stopped there in our investigation, and part of the investigation that Mr. Hanlon is going to be doing with the hydrology study in that area of town is also going to be looking at this school. We have not, I don't believe, left a stone unturned as to how we are going to best take care of this site at the least cost to the taxpayers, and not forgetting that all of the members of the school building committee are also taxpayers in this town, and we pay for it also, and we don't forget that anytime that we brought it up. The modular classrooms are not a phase in the school building committee plan. They are temporary. They are a immediate stopgap measure to give that building some relief. They have been approved to be there by the Historic District Commission for 4 years, and to look at it again for one more, and then one more after that. I won't speak for the Historic District Commission, and they can speak to it if they'd like. There is no intent for those modular classrooms, trailers, whatever you want to call them, to stay there for any length of time. The enrollment, we can look at the enrollment. He claims that we only look at what's out there. When we did the feasibility study, Dr. Troughton had done projection enrollments for 10 years. The school building committee took those projection enrollments, and not that we did not believe him, turned them over and said to our architect, do them again. Take them out of here. Here are the records from the town clerk's office, go do them again. And they came back, and they were incredibly accurate within a few people. There is a lot more that could be addressed on that. As far as the administrative area being moved to the